Okay, so you ready to dive into this?
Always.
The battlefield, right?
Yeah.
The Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 1.
Let's do it.
It's not just swords and chariots and, all the things you think of
Right.
when you think battlefield.
Metaphorical.
Yeah, this is where duty and desire and destiny kind of all collide.
Yeah.
So we're dealing with some big questions right here.
Big ones.
Right away.
Right from the first verse.
Absolutely.
Right.
And it all begins not with a clash of steel, but with a crisis of conscience.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I like that. You'd think an epic poem like this, right, would open with, explosions and heroics and
Yeah.
the clash of arms.
But instead it feels more like grand opera.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine a stage, right? But instead of velvet curtains, it's the vast plains of Kurukshetra.
Oh.
Two massive armies facing off, the fate of a kingdom hanging in the balance. You can practically feel the tension radiating through the pages,
Totally. And this isn't just some border dispute either.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
This is described as this epic clash between good and evil,
Right.
duty and desire, where the stakes go way beyond who wins the throne.
Yeah.
But before we get to all that, let's
Meet the players.
meet these characters.
Exactly. So we start with the blind king, Dhritarashtra, shrouded in both literal and metaphorical darkness.
Oh, yeah, he is.
His first line
Okay.
is just one question to his advisor Sanjaya, yet it reveals his deepest anxieties.
Okay.
What did the sons of Pen do and also my sons do?
That my sons.
Yeah.
That says it all right there.
Right. That one word speaks volumes.
Yeah. He's dividing the world into us and them,
Exactly.
even though both sides are like connected
Of course, blood and history.
by blood and history.
Yeah. It speaks to how our attachments, our sense of mind, can cloud judgment before any action is even taken.
100%. And then we meet Arjuna.
Yes. The valiant warrior.
Supposedly.
Yeah. He's raring to go initially.
Yeah.
Eager to prove himself in battle, but
Screeching halt. Total
the
meltdown.
full stuff. Like he's having a panic attack right there on the chariot.
And it's interesting because our sources actually called this Arjuna syndrome, this sudden onset of crippling doubt and fear when faced with a seemingly impossible choice.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's more than just cold feet, though.
Oh, yeah.
This is
This is deep.
deep. Yeah, this is like a spiritual crisis. An existential crisis that manifests physically even.
Right. And it's interesting because he describes his limbs going weak,
Skin burning.
his skin's burning. It's like his soul
Yeah.
is trying to escape the situation.
Yeah, it's trying to get out of there.
Yeah, and you can kind of see why.
I mean,
The guy looks out at the opposing army and he sees family,
Or-
friends,
that's
mentors,
mentors.
people he's known his whole life,
His whole life.
all ready to kill each other.
This is heavy stuff.
Yeah, how do you even process that?
Yeah. How do you
And
even...
then lead the charge.
I know, right? And that's where our third major player enters the scene, Krishna. Now, he's Arjuna's charioteer, but here's the twist. He's also an incarnation of the divine,
Well, boy.
playing a much deeper game than what it seems.
So he's not just driving
No.
a chariot.
No.
He's driving the entire narrative of the Bhagavad Gita.
Exactly, a skilled multitasker.
I'd say.
And even in this first chapter, Krishna is carefully laying the groundwork for these profound teachings that are coming. For example, notice how he deliberately uses the word Kurus to address the opposing army,
Okay.
emphasizing their shared ancestry.
So instead of fueling the us versus them fire.
He's subtly reminding Arjuna of their kinship,
Right.
nudging him toward compassion before the first arrow is even shot.
Wow, that's amazing.
Krishna understands that before he can impart any wisdom, he needs to meet Arjuna where he is, lost in grief and confusion. And that, my friend, is the genius of the Bhagavad Gita. It doesn't shy away from the messy realities of the human experience, but uses them as a springboard for spiritual understanding.
I love that. So we've got this grand opera house of a battlefield, these larger-than-life characters and stakes that go way beyond earthly power.
Absolutely.
But before we unpack Arjuna's emotional breakdown and this whole, yoga that it inspires, we're going to take a quick break. We are back and still kind of unpacking this emotional roller coaster that is Chapter 1 of the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
But I got to say, I was really struck by how vividly they describe
I know.
Arjuna's meltdown.
Yeah.
It's like his body is literally rebelling
It's true.
against the idea of fighting.
And I think that really resonates with all of us, right?
Yeah.
Because who hasn't felt that just
Totally. In the face of a tough decision.
of a really tough decision.
Right. But he's not just worried about dying.
Yeah.
You know, he's terrified of like shattering his whole world.
Right.
And all the justifications that he lays out for refusing to fight
Yes.
really kind of hit at the core of that.
It's the heart of the matter, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's looking at the potential destruction of his family, his culture.
Yeah. Everything.
Everything he's ever known.
Right.
Like, imagine having to choose between your own survival
I know.
and the collapse of literally everything you've ever known.
It's impossible.
An impossible choice.
Yeah.
And that's what he's wrestling with.
Yeah, and he even says being killed by the enemy would be preferable to, like, the sin.
Oh,
To
absolutely.
killing his loved ones.
Yeah, he'd rather be killed by the enemy.
Our sources talk about this fear of lost traditions,
Right.
of corrupted women, of, like, karmic debts.
Generational karma.
That would just echo for generations.
Yes, exactly.
It's heavy stuff.
It's heavy stuff. And this is where chapter 1, I think, gets really interesting.
Okay.
Because, like, on the surface, Arjuna's making some really valid arguments.
He is.
Like, we should avoid violence, shouldn't we?
Oh, yeah.
Especially against those that we love.
Of course.
But the Bhagavad Gita is inviting us to look a little bit deeper.
100%.
What'd you say?
Yeah. And that's where Krishna, I think,
Yeah.
just shines as this incredible teacher.
He does.
Because he doesn't try to
He doesn't try to talk him out.
Yeah.
He doesn't offer these, like,
just get over it.
yeah, simplistic solutions,
Yeah.
right? Instead, he creates this space
Yeah.
for Arjuna to really untangle his anxieties and confront these limitations that he has
It's true. It's so true.
of his own worldview.
And it's interesting because he kind of lets Arjuna unravel,
He does.
which seems at first counterintuitive,
Right.
but it's really the wisest approach.
It really is. And this is where we encounter the idea of Vishada Yoga, the yoga of despondency.
Now, see, I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to say,
Yeah.
wait a minute,
Yeah.
grief is a yoga.
Right. And that's a yoga now.
Right. But that's what I love about this text.
It's so good.
It's like it takes this very universal human experience.
Right.
The despair, the grief, the feeling lost.
That feeling of being totally lost.
Yes. And it's like, no, that's a pathway
Exactly.
to spiritual awakening.
It's not an ending.
It's kind of mind-blowing.
It's not the end. It's like a beginning.
It's true.
Yeah, think about it. When are we most open to change?
When everything's gone wrong.
When everything we think we know is shattered.
When our comfortable illusions are blown apart.
Exactly. Arjuna's world has been turned upside down.
100%.
And in that upheaval, there's opportunity for serious transformation.
Yeah. And instead of like rushing in and being like, don't worry, be happy, you know,
Right. Exactly.
he uses it
He says, let's use this.
as this like fertile ground for self-discovery.
Work with this.
He
Exactly.
starts planting these seeds
Yes.
that'll blossom throughout the whole Bhagavad Gita.
Exactly. Seeds of wisdom about the true nature of the self, the illusory nature of this world,
Wow.
and ultimately the path to liberation from suffering.
All right. So we're back for the final act of our deep dive into chapter 1 here.
Let's do it.
We've got Arjuna right. His world is upside down.
Yeah.
His very being is resisting this call to battle.
Totally.
So where do we go from here?
Well, you know what's so fascinating to me is that Krishna doesn't hit him with this, like, cosmic lecture.
Right.
He doesn't tell him to man up and fight.
Right.
He recognizes that true transformation starts from a place of empathy,
Okay.
not judgment.
So no tough love.
Not tough love, no. It's more like, remember that subtle brilliance we were talking about
Yeah.
with the word kurus?
Right. Using that to describe.
Describing the opposing army.
Yeah. Highlighting that shared ancestry.
Exactly.
It seems like such a small thing, but it's really not.
It changes the whole perspective.
It does.
And that's his genius. He's planting those seeds, those little hints
Yeah.
at those profound truths that will be unpacked throughout the Bhagavad Gita.
I see that. I see that.
He's showing Arjuna that true victory isn't about conquering others, but about understanding that battlefield within our own minds.
Oh, I like that. Which is why I think even though this whole first chapter is about Arjuna just losing it,
Yeah.
it's called Arjuna Vishada Yoga.
Yes.
Like the yoga of
despondency.
despondency. Yeah. And so it's almost like this turmoil
Yeah.
is the breeding ground.
It's the fertile ground where that spiritual growth can take root.
It's true. And you know what it makes me think of?
What's that?
That saying,
Yeah.
the wound is where the light enters.
Ooh. I like that. That's good.
So it's like all of this, you know, Arjuna's despair, his Vishada.
Yeah.
It's opening a door.
It is. It's cracking it open.
To a whole new way of seeing everything.
Exactly. And I think that's a powerful message for us today. Even we're always trying to avoid pain, right? We want to push those difficult emotions down.
It's true. It's way easier.
But what if those are the moments? What if we view those moments as opportunities for growth?
Ooh.
Like invitations to go a little deeper inside ourselves. And I think that's what Krishna's really trying to show Arjuna here.
Yeah, to see our own Vishada.
Yes.
Not as like the end.
Exactly. It's not the end, it's the beginning.
It's like the beginning of something way bigger than ourselves.
Of something amazing, something bigger. And so I think the next time you're faced with an impossible choice, remember Arjuna on the battlefield, feeling completely overwhelmed, not knowing where to turn.
Lost in the sauce.
That's not weakness.
Right.
That's an opportunity to delve a little deeper, connect with something bigger than ourselves, just like Arjuna will do in the upcoming chapters.
And there you have it.
There it is.
That is chapter 1 of the Bhagavad Gita.
That's how we kick things off.
From a battlefield of despair
to
the potential for some serious transformation.
I love it.
Join us next time because we're going to explore more of this wisdom.
I can't wait.
As Arjuna opens his heart to Krishna's teachings.
Let's do it.